That is my first time using the countdown.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, that's pretty
like
crazy. Well, welcome to the midweek mid-range. If you guys are watching, you're probably wondering where Parker is. He's not in today, so I am guest filling in. You guys might know me as Wayne G. I am the host of the Infinity Sports Podcast with Wayne G on the Belly Up Sports Network. I am a diehard Lakers fan. Gladly, we're not going to talk about that tonight. And I'll have these two guys introduce themselves, kind of their roles here, their favorite team. I'll start with JD. What's going on?
Hey, happy to be here. First time. I've listened to the show a couple times. I'm an intern here. I work for Zag Score, which is Gonzaga basketball, a little more of the college hoop stuff. But full disclosure, I'm a diehard Milwaukee Bucks fan and excited to see them with a 32-25 lead here early.
What about you, Jeremy?
I'm Jeremy. I have been on the midweek mid-range a time or two. I am a Chicago sports fan. It has not gone well as of late. I missed basically everything cool ever since I was born, and I'm just kind of not getting lottery picks at this point. That's where I'm at. But yeah, when I'm just watching the Bucks. I'm also a Bucks guy now. A lot of my friends are Bucks fans.
Welcome to it.
You haven't missed everything cool because you did see the Cubs win a World Series, right?
You're right. I did. Can't forget about that.
And I don't know if you noticed the hat, but you got my boy Fields, so I'm all in on the Bears.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did see that. Good stuff.
Yeah, you guys mentioned it, the 32-25. The Bucks are up right now. Obviously, it's only the second quarter, so a lot can happen. And we do have a Bucks Hawks topic in our hot or cold, so we'll definitely get to that stuff. Actually, you know what? We might as well get to it right now. Right? That's the first thing that we have going on here is the hot tea or cold brew. If you're familiar with this segment, it is sponsored by Yeti Coolers, Cups and Cozies. Yeti is the go-to shop for keeping things hot or cold, just like NBA stories. Yeti is based out of Austin, Texas. Check out the links on our social media handles for all your insulated needs for tailgating, camping, and daily life. Yeti, built for the wild. Hot tea cold brew is based on that idea, like Kermit sipping his tea. Some of these stories are piping hot, and some have some kick to them, and some of them are ice cold and can be kept for later. While this Yeti cup can keep hot things hot for up to 8 hours and keep ice frozen for you for up to 24, let's see which one of these NBA stories are hot or cold. Jeremy, I'll start with you. Hot tea or cold brew. Without Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers will not last more than 5 games.
Yeah, it's pretty hot. Pretty hot tea. They absolutely need him. Paul George has been really good. He's not been playoff P, pandemic T until those last 2 free throws. He's been astoundingly good. It makes me really happy to see Paul George be good, even though he says just outlandish, ludicrous things. It makes it so easy to not like him, which is upsetting. But he's really answered the bell, but it hasn't been enough. They absolutely need Kawhi Leonard. He's done it before. He's done it a bunch. Did it against the Mavericks. They just can't do the 0-2 thing again without Kawhi Leonard. They absolutely need him, especially with Chris Paul coming back. I think he's officially coming back for Game 3.
Oh, nice. I know he was on the protocol for a little bit.
I think I might not be official, but I think he's coming back.
JD, hot tea or cold brew? The Clippers don't go 5 without Kawhi.
Yeah, it's tough to. The Chris Paul stuff is tough. I don't know if he's coming back Game 3 or not. That would definitely change some things. I'm just gonna go cold brew, strictly because I think Paul George has been playing well. I think he's got a little chip on his shoulder. They've, like we said, they've come down 0-2 in every series so far. Now that was obviously with Kawhi, and I don't think they win this series without Kawhi. The Clippers, I don't really like the Clippers, all candor, but I do think they have been a really resilient team this postseason. I don't have really great reasons. Otherwise, I just have a feeling. I just think they're gonna win at least one of the home games, and I could see them winning Game 5 as well. So I think the Suns are hot, really, really hot, and I think they're going to calm down a little bit. And honestly, they shouldn't have won Game 2. If it's 1-1, you're looking at it completely different. So I think the Clippers are still confident, and I think they're veteran. I don't think they're freaking out over there because they've done it before. But I'm excited to see what Paul George does. I think this is a big next couple games for how we kind of look at him. But I'll go cold brew.
Okay. I kind of had this one as hot tea only because they're already down 2-0. And the guys who stepped up at the end of the Jazz series when Kawhi went down, which was Terrence Mann, not to be confused with James Earl Jones from Field of Dreams, and Marcus Morris are both averaging single digits so far this series.
That's no surprise to me with Marcus Morris. I cannot stand that guy. I do not like him. I've never liked him or his brother. I just think that unless you have LeBron James on your team to cancel out one of the Morris twins, it's bad. They're gonna be the reason you lose a game or two. He didn't play a single minute in the fourth quarter of Game 6. It feels like those things are related.
The Morris twins are the guys that they'll come in and like have a night where they go like 6 for 7 from 3, and then they just like won't play the next game. They're a very strange duo there. But yeah, I know. I think those are probably telling stats. They go so deep. Like I do think that's part of the thing is Ty Lue's using that entire bench. So maybe they'll have legs. I don't know. It's more of a gut feeling than anything really. But yeah, that's gonna be tough. I mean, 0-2 is tough, but
he started Zubac again. Look, he's not afraid to do anything. Right.
He had some wacky lineups. I think he started Mike Miller in one of those finals games with the Cavs. So,
oh my God, yeah, and it didn't work out.
No, he only played the first 5 minutes.
Mike Miller on the Heat.
Mike Miller on the Heat was something, but yeah, no, he didn't play like the entire playoffs and then started like a finals game, which was interesting. So Ty Lue is known to mix it up, that's for sure.
I think one of the more overrated coaches out there in the sense that obviously he won that championship with LeBron James. But my take on it is that David Blatt was a better coach than Ty Lue, and LeBron ran him out of town because he's an X's and O's guy.
Yeah, it's tough.
David Blatt's a better coach than Ty Lue. Woof.
David Blatt. It's like I don't think he deserved to get fired, but he just doesn't have any track record. And that might be because of LeBron, but it's tough because you don't really have anything to compare it against. But I do think Ty Lue is slightly overrated.
At least players like Ty Lue. I feel like everybody was just like, David Blatt, who are you? Like, I'm just going to listen to LeBron. How about that? I'm just going to listen to this guy. You just stand over there. Never forget, He should have got called a tech in Game 5 against the Bulls in the 2015 semifinals for running to half court and calling a timeout when he didn't have one. I'll never let people forget that. That's a tech. LeBron doesn't get the game-winning shot, and the Bulls go up 3-1. They probably knock him out.
Oh, okay. All right. That's a cold brew right there.
Game 4. Sorry, they would have gone up 3-1.
All right, well, JD, the next one's I'll let you lead off with the next one. Hot tea or no, wait, you led off with the first one, or did
I think Jeremy did?
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. So you go with this one. Hot tea or cold brew. The Milwaukee Bucks will gentlemen sweep the Atlanta Hawks, which is 4-1 for those of you who don't know.
Yeah, so I'm setting myself up to get hurt on this one, like I do most years with the Bucks. But I'm going to go hot tea on that one. They're going to have 3 of the 4 best players on the court at a given time. Trey Young has been incredible, obviously. He's done it to a couple different teams. I just think the Bucks match up well. They have Capella down low, but I just think Giannis is on a mission right now. And the way I look at it is Giannis is going to play well, and they need Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday to shoot well and play well. One of the two. They don't even need both of them in most of the series. I'm going to go hot tea there. I think setting myself up for a heartbreak, but I do think it'll be a gentleman's sweep. And they're up right now too, so that's also nice.
What do you think, Jeremy? Gentleman's sweep, or do you think it goes more than 5?
Would you go, JD? You said that's hot tea. Sometimes I get a little confused.
Hot tea, yeah, I think it will.
I think it is too. Yeah, super hot, spicy hot. 5-1 Bucks. If I could have, which I forgot to do, place a bet on exact series price. 4-1 would have been great. 4-2 I think had the best odds, but I like 4-1. The Hawks get one in the A. Trey Young can do his whole thing.
Trey Young's gonna have a Trey Young game.
They're doing this ridiculous drop thing with Brook Lopez still. They're not going to stop doing it. Bud is going to get out coached one of these games. I just think the Bucks are so much better. I'm a huge Chris Middleton guy. I think he's so good. I don't think the Hawks have anybody that can stop him. The only person that could stop Chris Middleton really is himself. Just bad games, bad shooting games. I think that guy is a killer.
He can get a shot.
Silent assassin.
Trey Young will have a Trey Young game. I think it's fair to say they'll get one. I don't feel really confident about the gentleman's sweep, but I would take it over 6 if I was betting it.
Well, you guys are going to love my take because I have it as ice cold. I have the Atlanta Hawks winning the series.
Oh, wow.
I think that the Atlanta Hawks were the team that I had in the NBA Finals before the season started. I think they are the deepest.
Impressive.
They're one of the deepest teams in the league in terms of they can go 10 deep off their bench. And I think that Milwaukee's only 3 deep. They don't even go into their bench, I think, depth-wise. I think that they're just going to be in trouble. I think Giannis is too easy to stop. When I watched him play the last series, I know he's going to get 30 every game. I don't know how he does it because his only move is put your head down and go to the hoop. And he has no other moves. He has no mid-range. He has no 3, But if I'm, somebody like Capella or Collins, who are both extremely athletic, I would put the shackles on Giannis. I wouldn't worry about anybody else. And I think the Hawks can win this series in 7.
So to clarify, do you think he's easy to stop or easy to game plan for? Because he's pretty easy to set a plan for, and it's still very, very difficult to stop even that one thing. Because I just watched him do the put your head down, go at Clint Capella, and he just scored.
And the steal and transition.
He just does it all the time. You know how annoying it was watching 7 games of Giannis doing the exact same thing, running into one of Blake Griffin, Jeff Green, or some other dude, Bruce Brown, and taking charges? Learn your fucking lesson. I'm sorry for cursing here, fellas, but stop running into people and getting charges or like making the refs call a blocker charge. So many bodies on the floor in that series. I wanted to throw up. I hate charges. Let's just get that out there. It's one of my basketball virtues. I hate charges.
Like you hate charges because you think it's sloppy on the offense, or you hate them calling charges?
Oh, I just like charges in general. It's just like not a defensive play to me. I hate it. It can be dangerous. People up in the air. I hate it. I don't like the charge call. Keep it in college. Let's just ban it in the NBA. Keep it in college. Gets the crowd fired up in college.
Wayne, the only pushback I'd have there is you are right. Giannis is kind of a little one-dimensional. He's gotten a little better at mid-range and some post fades and things like that. He's deadly in transition, but I do think that they just spread the floor so well that if they are shooting well, it's such a good duo with Giannis that he can drive, put his head down like that. And the fact that whether you like it or not, 3 people have to stop and kind of crash, and there's always a shooter. And the fact that Brook Lopez can stretch it too, with a guy like Clint Capella out there, kind of stretch him out and let Giannis to get to the rim, I think will be really big in this series. But they need to shoot well. They definitely need to shoot well. They don't really rise with Giannis. They rise and fall with shooting more than anything.
Yeah, I do want to apologize. I just kept talking through it. I want him to answer that question. Is he easy to stop or is he easy to game plan for? Or is it both?
No, I think he's easy to obviously he's not easy to stop. He averaged 30 points per game this year. So even though you know what he's going to do, he's still going to do it, and you can't really stop it. You might be able to get him to get 30 points on double the shots. I think a guy like Draymond Green guards him really well because he's a very physical defender. The trouble is with nowadays NBA, right? You can't play him like you should be able to, which is the Jordan rules. Just take him to the floor every time he gets to the hoop. Because in today's NBA, if you get a piece of the hand while blocking a shot, it's a flagrant 1. So
right.
Yeah, right, but I do think
Giannis has been working. Hacky Giannis has been working a little bit. That makes me nervous.
Not like Hacka Simmons.
No,
we are not
quite that bad. Not quite that bad.
All right, Jeremy, hot tea or cold brew? All Brooklyn needs to do this offseason is get healthy.
Again, I keep getting a little bit confused. I want to say, I feel like hot just means yes, cold means no, but I also feel like this is cold brew, not in the sense that it's no. It's just like that's really nothing to talk about. Yeah, that's true. Just healthy Brooklyn is a really, really good team, and they're going to be finals favorites. I don't want to ever bet against Kevin Durant, even though I put my heart on the line with this Bucks team to beat them. Even if Kevin Durant won, I'd be like, well, that's the baddest dude on the planet. So, I don't know what you want me to say.
All right. Well, JD, do you think it's hot tea or is it cold brew that all they have to do is get healthy?
Yeah, I'll go with hot tea in the fact that I agree with it. I don't think it's a crazy take to say that those 3 healthy is the team to beat in the NBA right now. I'm a Bucks fan. I'm a self-aware Bucks fan. You don't think Kyrie is a changer of a point in overtime. Like I just think that, and I think the Bucks, obviously I think so, but the Bucks are the best team left. So if they got through the Bucks, I think the Hawks healthy would have ran through the rest of this playoffs. But it's also one of those, a little pushback I have as everyone, if the Nets were healthy, you guys would have lost. But at the same time, like, we built our team differently, and they built their team on three guys that are kind of injury prone. One specifically, we've seen Kyrie go out 3 separate times on 3 different teams in the playoffs. Like, I obviously you don't root for it, but it is one of those, like, I don't feel bad for you because you built your team like that. We built our team with a superstar in depth, and we've, been made fun of it kind of in ways that we can't have the guy who hits the big shot and anything like that. But when you're healthy, it's a dangerous team in a year like this where it's kind of wide open. So I did have a lot of people say, well, if they're healthy, I'm like, yeah, but that's like a part of it. I mean, you knew that when you brought 3 guys and 2 of them are significantly injury prone. So a little pushback like there, but I'll go hot team.
Sort of like the Embiid thing, right? Where you don't want to always say it's because, well, he might get injured. He's just injury prone. You don't want that to always be part of the equation, but it's always
you feel bad for
part
the
of
guy,
the equation.
but it is like and you have to kind of put that together when you're making a team.
I feel Anthony Davis is in that same boat, right? He's always hurt,
right.
And Anthony Davis.
Yeah. I actually had this as hot as well. I think all they need to do is get healthy. There are a couple small things. Like, I think they need to re-sign Spencer Dinwiddie. I think he'd be a huge loss if they lose him.
You almost forget he was on the team, right?
Right, but I mean, he's a great role player.
Yeah.
And then obviously Blake Griffin, you can just get a washed up star somewhere else to kind of fill that role.
I was going to say, would you think they should go get Blake Griffin again, or?
Well, if they get him for $1 million a year, then yeah, why not?
Right, yeah.
He's fantastic. Role player Blake.
Right.
Yeah, so I think the reason that it's kind of one of those, is it hot tea, cold brew, is because we've seen it so often with LeBron James get bounced out of the playoffs, and the first question they ask is like, all right, who does he need to add? Doesn't matter who's on his team, it could be the dream team. They're like, all right, who does he need to add? He just got bounced out of the playoffs. So same kind of thing here with Brooklyn, right? It's like they get bounced. It's like, all right, who do they need to add? Well, they don't really need to add anybody. They just need to get healthy.
Right. And adding things can't hurt, but healthy is the number one thing. I mean, adding things isn't going to be matter if KD and Kyrie aren't playing in round 2 of the finals, or round 2 of the playoffs.
I'll add a subheading of this hot tea, cold brew. I'll ask you guys, hot tea or cold brew, the Nets need to upgrade Joe Harris.
I would say cold. I don't think they need to upgrade. I like Joe Harris a lot. I mean, who are you going to upgrade with JJ Redick?
I don't know. Always somebody, but yeah, could just been a bad.
As a shooter, yeah. Yeah, I would go cold brew as well, just because as a shooter, he obviously didn't shoot well, but I still think he's one of the better shooters in the league. And if that's what you want in that role, I don't know who you're going to upgrade. Joe
Moment
Harris.
Too big for Joe?
Well, it's possible, but hopefully that moment doesn't happen for Joe because they got Kyrie. If they're healthy, I think Joe plays a significantly different role and probably shoots better with a little less pressure.
Right. He knocks down that one shot, and we're not even having this conversation.
KD goes a shoe size down next year. They win the whole thing.
It's amazing.
All right, JD. Hot tea, cold brew. The Dallas Mavericks are the best head coach opening.
So I think we're going to talk about it. I had a different answer this morning, but there is a coaching vacancy that has since been filled, but we'll get into that. So I had cold brew this morning. I'll probably say hot tea now. The reason I was leaning towards cold brew, it's obviously the Celtics. We'll talk about that a little bit, but the reason I was leaning cold brew in that situation is I do think the Celtics just have more pieces than Dallas. They both present the same amount of pressure. I think Dallas is going to be a significant amount of pressure. They had a coach there who's been there for a while. So the next guy, I don't think people are going to be as patient, and you're coming into Luka's prime. And that's awesome in a lot of ways, and also very stressful in a lot of ways, because he's 22 years old. If you take 2 or 3 years there and you don't really show significant growth, as a team, or show people or get people with Luka, I think that's a lot of pressure. I think you'll be out pretty quick, especially after they had a guy that had been there for 10 years, I think, or something like that. But I'll go hot tea for now, just because I think Luka, you can't win an NBA championship without a superstar, without probably a top 5 player, and Luka is that. So it's like the NFL. If you walk in and get a franchise quarterback, you'll take that job over a better roster most days. Portland would probably be second for me, but hot tea for me. I'll say yes.
What do you say, Jeremy?
Some cold brew for me. JD, I thought you were going to get through the whole thing without saying mine. I don't want any part of Dallas. The place is a mess right now. Give me Portland Trailblazers and Damian Lillard. I feel like going into Portland and being the head coach of Damian Lillard, the one guy in the league right now with a vacancy who just seems the most open to coaching, especially a new change, and somebody who is always holding himself accountable. He's holding the entire team accountable. It's just a good situation you want to go into. There's young talent to develop, which they just have not been able to do, probably because they've been on this championship trajectory, at least in their own mind. They have Nazir Little, Zach Collins could probably be dealt. He just didn't even play a minute. Or Anthony Simons. There's just stuff to work with. And even though the front office kind of flopped with a lot of the moves they made, I did like the Norman Powell signing. But they're a front office willing to make moves, especially for their guy. Like Damian Lillard's not going anywhere. He's made that very clear. People have said they could be in line to get Ben Simmons. Who knows? You could be the coach to fix him, nurture him. I mean, I've said Becky Hammond, go coach Dame, go to Portland, see if they'll hire him, see if they'll hire her or anybody else out there. I am just kind of a big Dame Portland guy, so that's one of my favorite openings, and I think it's the best opening. Plus, it's Portland. It's a little smaller. You're not going to get scrutinized by everybody in the world.
Yeah, the expectations.
Your own best player is not going to castrate you on
that's
the
the draw to Portland, I think, is the expectation level.
So I have it as hot tea only because, and it's not because of Luka, and it's definitely not because of Kristaps. I think this is the best coaching vacancy because Mark Cuban is the best owner in all of professional sports. I think that he's a guy who he takes care of his players. He takes care of his front office. He takes care of his coaches. I mean, Rick Carlisle didn't do anything there, and he's stuck around for 10 years because Mark Cuban says, you're doing a good job. I'm not going to hold you to that standard, or you have to win a championship in 4 or 5 years or you're gone. He's like, as long as you can coach the team and you do a good job of coaching the team, you can coach here as long as you want. And, Carlisle stepped down. He didn't want to be there anymore. And I think that if I'm a head coach and all 32 teams are open today, I would go coach Dallas just because I think that's the best situation as a head coach, the best job security.
So it's nothing to the 2011 championship, beating the Heat. That's nothing. He didn't do anything.
I mean, it's 10 years ago, though.
A while ago.
Most guys
would have got fired.
Not Avery Bradley.
Winning a championship, we've seen, does not get you tenure, at a professional basketball team. Yeah, no, I think that's
what gets you tenure is being a really good coach, which Carlisle seems to be. And I guess I admittedly did not read the Athletic piece on the Maverick situation, but is that the sign of the best owner in sports? Sounds like that place is a disaster. I can't say it's Cuban's fault because, like I said, I didn't read the thing. Probably should have, but just seems like they've had some problems recently, and it could be attributed to bad leadership at the top. I'm kind of a Cuban guy, but I could be swayed. I could probably easily be swayed by one particular article.
What were you saying, JD?
Yeah, I think I think that does make sense. Is the being able to be loyal and Cuban being a really good owner. I have not looked into a lot of what's going on in Dallas. I've just kind of heard the media hype of there's some issues. Man, you just gotta. My other thing too is Porzingis to me is one of the hardest guys in the league to evaluate value wise. What is he worth? Trade wise or even on the team. Because it's I think he's really, really good, but I'm not quite sure when I watch him, and I'm not quite sure him and Luka are the duo that's going to be championship level here in the next couple of years. But I mean, it's in this question because it's a top job. It's top 2 for me. I would say. I mean, I said hot tea. I would definitely take it, and I think ownership is a really, really good reason there, Wayne.
Well, the ownership, it doesn't just trickle down to how he handles the coaches in the front office too, but you have to think about in a league where guys are signing with other teams every 4 or 5 years, or actually after that first contract, every 2 or 3 years,
Right.
Mark Cuban's a guy who holds on to his talent. I don't think Luka will ever play in another uniform as long as Mark Cuban's the owner there, because he really takes care of those guys. So if you're a head coach, and you know you're going to have, if you know you're going to have Luka for your entire tenure, why wouldn't you just go there? Yeah.
Yeah, he markets
them too. That is a really good sign. It's a very good sign if you can keep Luka. That is a pretty good sign of some solidarity, especially since he seems like he's headstrong enough to, leave if you actually really wanted to. I feel like if he stays in Dallas for a reason.
And Mark Cuban's pretty straight up. Like, I think that goes a long way. I think there's a lot of the people feel distrust from the front office and the ownership, feel like they're getting told something different and there's a different story. From what it seems is Cuban's pretty straight up with his players and his staff and stuff. So that probably goes a long way.
I like that you brought up Kristaps. Now you don't know really how to evaluate him. I don't think he's the right sidekick for Luka. I think that Luka needs not, because he's a ball dominant guy. He's essentially your point guard. I think he needs either an off the ball small forward or a big that he can just toss alley oops to. I don't know who that is, but that's
he needs his Capella, like Harden and Trey, literally the same guy. He just needs his guy that's gonna set him a rock solid screen, clear space, roll hard, and be there when the ball's in the air.
Right. Maybe someone like Bam or.
I was just thinking the restricted free agent this year that doesn't look like he's going to be coming back is John Collins.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. Speaking of John Collins, he just had a really hard roll on the pick and roll and dropped the ball, unfortunately. But John Collins can work with another team out there.
Halftime lead, fear the deer.
All right, so Jeremy, we were talking about coaching, and we alluded to it in the past, topic. But the Boston Celtics went out; they signed Ime Udoka from the New Jersey Nets. He was previously with the 76ers as a assistant coach as well. Very, very highly rated. He was a guy who was up for a head coaching spot last year. I'm curious to get your take, hot tea or cold brew. He was the best possible coaching candidate for the Boston Celtics.
I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on assistant coaches out there and knowing what they're all about, but from everything we hear, media guys, NBA guys, nothing but really good things to say about him. Just a great guy, really smart guy, works really hard. Yeah, that's good for the Boston Celtics. Brad made it. President Stevens. Now he's officially the president. President Stevens finally made his first choice, and it was a good one from what it looks like. And hey, first minority coach in Boston Celtics history, according to Jay Williams. Congratulations, Boston Celtics.
That was tough.
Hey, he was hacked. Did you guys see that too? He said he went with the "I was hacked" route.
Some poor graphics guy like me just got fired.
Oh yeah, Jay. That's tough. Yeah, really good. Hot tea. This is good stuff for the Boston Celtics. They needed it. Good PR move as well. I'm not going to call Ime Udoka a PR move, but it is by happenstance a good one.
What do you think, JD? Hot tea, cold brew, best coaching candidate fit for the Celtics?
Yeah, I like Jeremy. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm one of these ESPN guys that best followed this dude's career. I looked into it. I've listened to what other people have said. It sounds like people are happy with it. I'll go hot tea in the fact that I think they just needed a face change as a coach. Obviously, Stevens will still be involved. But I think in general, I get annoyed with the constant carousel of these Stan Van Gundy's and stuff that just seem to recycle their way through the NBA. And I'm just glad it's a new guy. I'm just glad it's someone we can see someone who's rise through the ranks and see if somebody else, give somebody else a turn kind of thing. Cause we've seen these coaches. It bugs me in the NBA how often we see the same guys over and over, have a good year, go 500, lottery gone. It just seems to be kind of a cycle that I'm glad the Celtics broke, and everything I saw seems that people are happy and it's a good choice. I'm not going to, sit here and pretend that I know a ton about the guy personally, but I think the Stevens move, it'll be really interesting. I'm really curious to see how all that works out. I think they'll do well. But that was an interesting move. I don't know if we've seen stuff quite like that before. Maybe we have, and I just don't remember. But I'll go hot team. I think it's a good hire.
I think he's a fantastic coach, and I think that he should be a head coach somewhere. And he was an assistant with Team USA, as I know. Jason Tatum's that he really likes the guy. He worked with him. But I'm gonna say cold on this one, cold brew. And my reasoning is because I'm not holding anything against Ukoda. I'm holding it against the Boston Celtics. You just went 4 or 5 years with Brad Stevens, who was a rookie head coach. He learned on the fly how to be a head coach in the NBA, and you did really well. You've got a super talented team, and they're a team that is coachable because of him, I think, because they all grew up together. All the players and him kind of grew up together. And then he leaves, and you bring in another rookie head coach. Like, how are you supposed to get over the hump if you bring in a rookie head coach? I think they needed a veteran coach to come in and coach this team. That was the next logical step. Moving on from Brad Stevens, I thought Rick Carlisle would have been a good hire. If you wanted to go with a minority, because there was some talk like Boston needs to hire a minority head coach, go with Mark Jackson. They've been talking about him for years, that he needs to get a head coaching job. But I just don't think that bringing in a rookie head coach is the right move for this team, because if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got, right?
Maybe some Terry Stotts action.
What's that?
Yeah, I think the more of the same argument's a good one.
Terry Stotts?
Or who else just got let go? It's Stan.
Stan.
Mike D'Antoni.
I can't stand Stan.
D'Antoni.
Oh, no defense.
Like as coach.
Yeah,
guy.
My take was more selfishly. I just don't like to see the same guys. For Boston itself, I think that's probably a very fair take. It's more the same. You just kind of redid the same thing. But yeah, I don't know enough about him. Hopefully he's good. Selfishly, I just like to see new faces. So, but I think the more of the same argument is probably a very fair one. I wonder if that's something they're talking about in Boston. I'm sure it is.
I know I'm in the Boston area. I live in New Hampshire, so it's I get a lot of Boston radio, and the guys, everyone seems to really like him. And like I said, I love him. If I'm an owner, he's a guy that I would definitely have on my list as somebody I wanted to bring in. Like I said, I just felt it was a bad fit for this particular team and this particular situation.
Maybe like a Portland or someone who's had the guy who's been there for a while and can try to take a shot at something new. Or
Portland would be fantastic for him.
Yeah, you like the hire, just not for Boston. That makes sense.
New Orleans might also be a place for a new head coach. Like, let's see what I can pull out of Zion Williamson.
Yeah, I think some of those small markets that it's like, look, let's just shoot for our ceiling because our floor, we've seen it. I think the Celtics are trying to get over the hump, and I don't know I think you make a good point. I don't know if a rookie head coach does it.
Right. Let me see what I have here. So the next one I have, I think, is this the last one or is this no? Oh, it might be. So I have, hot tea, cold brew. After getting the number 1 pick in the NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons will not be a lottery team next year.
I'll go very, very cold brew on that. I think they will be. Their roster is garbage. Like, they're just not very good. And I just don't. I think that the kid from Oklahoma State is, I think, what everyone thinks is going to be the number 1 overall pick. Yeah, Cade Cunningham. I'm sure he'll be really good, but I mean, we saw it with not Memphis. Sorry, we saw it with Minnesota this year. Even if he's really, really good, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be, out of the lottery. It might just mean you have
New Orleans
some flashes, right? Some flashes of young talent, which is good to see if you're a team that's in the lottery. But the Pistons don't seem to have anything sustainable there going on right now. So I'll say, they'll be right back. Not in the same spot. I don't know if they'll be competing for the number 1 pick, but I think they'll be in the lottery. So I'll go cold.
Yeah, cold brew. I'll say the same thing. Nothing really to see here. Obviously, this is pre-free agency, pre-trade season. Who knows what could happen if people are like, they're getting Cade Cunningham. I really liked him. Maybe I'll sign with the Pistons this year. They'll do old Jerry and Grant. But there's just not enough on that Pistons roster. They're still just one of the saddest teams in the league to watch when it's just like a Tuesday night on League Pass. I'm like, oh, cool. The Pistons started at 6.
Pistons Pacers at 6 on a Tuesday.
Is it 7 yet?
Yikes.
Is it 7 o'clock yet? Oh my God. Yeah, well, could help Killian Hayes. Who knows? I mean, without, knowing any rookies and trying to be different, I'm like, oh, Killian Hayes might be rookie of the year this year. I didn't see anything from him. I barely saw him play. I do like Sadiq Bey. He's just like one of those dudes who looks too jacked to be a good shooter, and he's just a really, really good shooter. I kind of like watching Sadiq Bey. They just got more work to do than the number 1 overall pick. Obviously, unless Cade Cunningham is
Especially
really
because
good.
it doesn't seem to be a generational. I think he's going to be good, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be a Zion or like a,
Well, that's exactly right. This is a very deep draft. It might be the deepest draft that I've seen in a long time, maybe a decade, but it's not top heavy enough. There's none of those franchise changers. There's no Shaquille O'Neal. There's no Tim Duncan, LeBron James, or Zion in this draft. So that was my thing. Is this team went 20-52 this year, and adding a 19-year-old is going to put them in the playoffs. Especially when the East still has the 76ers, the Nets, the Hawks, the Knicks, the Heat, the Celtics. Which one of those teams is going to take a step back? I mean, they're probably all going to get better. The Orlando Magic had the same record as as this team, and they're getting 2 top 10 picks, number 5 and number 8 in a deep draft. So they're essentially going to be twice as good in terms of what they're doing in improvements. And then, of course, you've got LaMelo Ball gets another year better with Charlotte, and I'm thinking Michael Jordan's figured out how to sign free agents there. So that's a team that actually I think could get out of the lottery next year.
Yeah, I think this
agree
one was
there,
the
100%.
easiest. I think this was our easiest one. I think this is the coldest out of all of them.
Yeah, miss me with the Pistons until they, show me anything else.
I can't wait for Pistons Twitter to find this clip when they're in the finals next year.
Very excited for the bad boys. Bad boys of Twitter.
Put us on buzz.
I will say this too. Everyone's all big on Cade Cunningham. He's like supposedly the surefire number 1 pick. And I watched a bunch of college basketball this year. He would not be my number 1 pick. Actually, the guy who I think is going to be the biggest impact player in this upcoming draft is Green from the Ignite, the kid who played NBDL instead of college. He is just electric. He is so good. He reminds me of like a Tracy McGrady. I think he's going to be a really good player in like 2 or 3 years.
My favorite person to look out for. Yeah, I think I was going to say the same thing. Not to say he's going to be the best, but just to see where he goes, fits the best. Like I just want to see Jalen Suggs. I think he's going to be awesome. It sounds like the Raptors could get him. That just sounds perfect to me. I really want to see Jalen Suggs succeed.
Yeah, I got actually our Gonzaga podcast that went live today. Andy did a whole thing on Suggs to Toronto, and I was all in on that. It made a lot of sense. And I think he'll be really good. So that was going to be my also. Just I don't know if he's going to be the best coming out of it, but he's the one I think I'm most excited. I think a lot of people are most excited to see how he pans out.
All right. Well, that ends the hot and cold. We do end up in another Yeti sponsored segment, which is open container. Once you pop the top off your Yeti, anything can get in or out. Hot, cold, liquid, ice, anything. So this is an open container, I guess, open-ended question. Jeremy, let me start with you. The question is, what will the Golden State Warriors do with picks number 7 and 14 in the draft?
They are going to do their absolute best. They're going to pull off whatever they can to get both of those picks to somebody for some form of star. They do not need, this team does not need more rookies. They tried the Wiseman thing, and it kind of blew up in their face. They're like, look, we cannot wait for you, man. You need to be ready now. Like, we are ready to start winning games. Clay's going to be back next year. I'm going to, can't talk. Steph, he's like, I had a really good season, and I'm like 31. Like, how old is he now? I'm still really good, you guys. We can't mess around with these rookies. I don't want to get ahead of myself because, he had just such a rough last couple of days. But Ben Simmons with the Warriors, could Draymond Green kick his ass into shape? Could he teach him how to play basketball without scoring? Who knows? But that's what the Warriors are going to do. They have to. What are they going to do with 2 rookies?
Yeah, I would say probably something similar. I think their best case scenario would be to try to trade those away. I mean, it's tough to pinpoint an exact trade. I'm not a trade expert. Like I said, I'm not great with seeing what values. Trades always surprise me. I feel like when I see the trades, I'm like, really? That's it? But I think Ben Simmons is an interesting thought there, just because he won't have to do a majority of the scoring. But if they did decide to pick 7, I've seen some different mock stuff, and one of the guys that makes sense is Jalen Johnson from from Duke. Obviously, we saw his season cut short, but he's super athletic. He was super good in transition. I think he's like a 7-something wingspan, so he's just super long. I think he could help them defensively. Is something they lacked last year a lot. A little rim protection, also can guard perimeter, something like that. And then his shooting's kind of a question mark, but there's not a better team to kind of figure out how to shoot than the Golden State Warriors, because they just get you great looks. So if they were to pick it, I think that's kind of the route they would go. But I think I could easily see him trade him. But I don't know the perfect fit there. I really don't.
Yeah, I was going to say I had here that they will package both of them with Andrew Wiggins and get something for him.
With
for that
Andrew
3.
Wiggins. Okay.
Yeah, well, because Oubre is going to leave as a free agent. Wiggins doesn't fit there, I don't think, although he fits there better than Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons would be awful in Golden State because you only have 2 options with him. Option 1 is you have him bring the ball up, and now you've taken the ball out of the best ball handler in the NBA's handle, or you have him play off the ball. And how many off the ball non-shooters do you know? So he really doesn't fit there. He's not a good fit in Golden State. But I do think that they package Wiggins because he hasn't been a fit there. When Clay comes back, he's really not going to be a fit there. And I think they put those 2 picks with him. I don't know either. Like we were saying, we're not trade experts. I don't know who would really be available or what teams would be like, man, I would love to have Andrew Wiggins in those 2 picks, and we give up a star for it. But I think that's what they need to do.
One of the better parts, or I guess, you can make the argument it's not a good part, but one of the things we do know is a thing in this league is that in the next couple months, could be next month, could be next week, somebody's asking out. Somebody is going to get upset and they want out. And the Warriors are going to be ready with 2 top 10 or a 7th and a 14th overall pick, just ready for whoever wants them.
Right.
And I trust like they have the most cards right now.
Like with picks, I just trust that front office. I think they've
got pocket aces and they're waiting to use them.
Well, I think, too, if Golden State is looking, there's a lot of players in the league who would love to go to Golden State with what they have coming back next year. And here's one, because the wheels were turning since we started talking about who could they get. And the first name that pops in my head, if you're going to trade Wiggins and these 2 picks, is about Jimmy Butler.
I actually, that was just crossed my mind. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Definitely helps them get better defensively. They have shooters. He could kind of add that grit. That I think would go a long way. Plus, I think Jimmy has kind of dispelled the fact that he's not easy to play with. I think that was more of a Philly problem than a Jimmy problem. They love him in Miami. I think he's a work hard guy, and I think that Heat culture and that Warriors culture is similar. I think he'd fit in there. I think that's actually a really good. I don't know. I don't know if the Heat would do it, but
yeah, I love the fit, but I just could not see why there's any reason Pat Riley would. Again, why would he want 2 more first-round picks for Jimmy Butler, the guy that he just invested a whole bunch of money in because he really likes him? They already have 2 first-round or 2 draft picks who kind of helped them make it to a finals, but also were just not good enough to win a finals. So, like, they already have guys that aren't exactly helping right away. Teams like the Heat could always use more first-round picks, but I just can't see them parting with Jimmy Butler. He's, like, their guy now. I feel like Jimmy's there for the long haul.
Well, I was going to say he's their guy now, but I also look at the rest of that team with Hero and Adebayo, and they're all young. So why not add a couple more young guys? And even, Wiggins, it seems like he's been in the league forever. He's still only like 25 years old. Yeah?
Oh, right. Yeah, forget the Wiggins part of it. You can just give him over too. But then I guess the Heat are basically saying, yep, we'll take Andrew Wiggins for Jimmy Butler. That sounds great. It's just
I think
the Miami Heat too.
The Heat, if they did that, I think they would be in, all right, we don't think this is the roster. We just don't see a way doing it, which, like, it sounds crazy, but their thing is being physical, and they got bullied in the first round by the Bucks, and that team's not going away. And the East is just getting better. They're just getting more physical. Teams like Philly, Atlanta, I think, is a pretty physical team. So yeah, that was kind of their claim to fame, is like, we're just going to out physical everybody. And Jimmy Butler is kind of at the center of that as your star. If they just think they can't do that, they might blow it up, but I just don't see it. I think they really like him in Miami, but I think that makes a ton of sense for Golden State. Golden State would love that, I think.
Well, I've got another guy. I'll preface this by saying I'm not a huge fan of this player, but maybe the Warriors could take a chance on him. Marvin Bagley kind of wants out. They could trade one of those picks for him and Andrew Wiggins. Maybe not both. He probably doesn't cost both. It's Marvin Bagley.
Right.
They could maybe use him. He's kind of just like James Wiseman, but he's already been in the league for a while. Could score a little bit. I don't know. I can't really sell myself. I'm not a Bagley guy.
I'm actually a big Bagley fan. I'm a Duke guy as well as a Lakers guy. So I'm a huge Duke fan. And watching the Bagley play, I remember he had gone to college early. He graduated early from high school so that he could get into the draft a little bit earlier. And when he was going from high school to Duke, I do remember there was some talk. People had said he was like the next KG. Obviously, we haven't seen anything close to that. But, I mean, the talent level is obviously there.
Here's another guy that can't stay healthy, breaks something every year.
Yeah, I don't think that's a terrible fit either.
I'm just trying to think of guys who maybe want out or could be on their way out.
And I think everyone we've named adds a defensive element. So I think that is fair to say. It'd be sweet if they had another shooter, but it's not what they need.
The last segment we have here is called the second to last segment. The long two. It says here it's a new segment, but I've done this segment before, so maybe he just forgot to take off that it's new. But a mid-range jump shot is a long 2-pointer hated by some analytic nerds. Shout out to Daryl Morey. A long 2-pointer seems silly to some as a low percentage as a 3, but worth 2/3 of the points. So for us, it's our shot. It is 2. So we have the Team USA roster. We did mention before the show that this has been tweaked a little bit, but I'll bring it up here. Kevin Durant, James Harden, who has recently pulled out, was replaced by Jerian Grant. Damian Lillard, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal, Chris Middleton, Bam Adebayo, Draymond Green, Drew Holiday, Kevin Love, Brooke Lopez. So, JD, I'll give you the floor first. What 2 players should be on this team, and who would you replace?
Yeah, so the way I look at this question is how could it help Team USA and how could it help this player and kind of their brand and just kind of, guys that are up and coming. I think the Olympics is a good place to land to kind of get some more exposure. One guy I wish was on there for both those reasons, and I think he kind of missed an opportunity. I think Trey Young had the opportunity to have it be the summer of Trey Young. Even if he loses this series, which who knows what's happening right now, 5-point game in the third. I think he could play bad in this series and he would still be like, wow, Trey Young. Like, did you see the way he performed in big moments? The fact that he got him this far. And if he just kind of carried that momentum and just went and just shot like he does in the Olympics, and we saw him at the end of the summer as well as at the beginning of the summer, I think you're going into next year like, wow, Trey Young, for some people who really, watch a lot of basketball, knew how good he was. But I think the world would be like, wow, Trey Young just went from like a star to a superstar. So I think he had that opportunity, and I just love to see him there. The other guy, and this is more for himself, and I don't know where he is health wise. I think he's healthy, but I would just kind of a weird one. Karl Anthony Towns, I think, would be good for him because he is. First of all, there's not a lot of centers and forwards, and they seem kind of small. They got Bam, I know, but he's a guy that I think we all just kind of forgot about because he's in Minnesota, and I think he's still very good, but no one really knows because no one watches him play. And I think they had just a brutal season after trading. Talk about trading for picks and it not working, or trading your picks away and it not working. But I think it would be big for him in his kind of brand. And just like if he came in and kind of Carmelo Anthony did, just came in and just was a beast in the Olympics and be like, oh crap, like we all forgot, like Karl Anthony Towns is really, really good in this league. Might help him with some free agency stuff later. I don't know where he's at there. But yeah, I think that might be really good for him. And I think we could use another big on the team, but I think that one's more for him.
What do you say, Jeremy? Any 2-player swaps?
I got one guy, but God, that's a really good pick is Karl Anthony Towns. Team USA is such a good way to pick your brand back up and just your stock. Just
really
go ball out with Team USA. Show the other guys on the team that you belong and that you care and you give a shit and you work hard. Just one of those things, and that's one of those guys who already does that. Who would not work if Karl Anthony Towns is on the team. I want Jimmy there just for the camaraderie. He just seems like a Team USA guy. He's just kind of buddies with all those guys, like Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, kinda. He's just one of those guys. And also, I'm looking at the Shams tweet right now to make sure I have the list right. either he had a typo or we said it wrong. It looks like Jeremy Grant is the one on the team, unless Shams typoed it.
Yeah, that's what
so I would replace
Grant.
him. Yeah, I was thinking Jarian, the Detroit guy. This is Jeremy Grant. Wait, no, I'm getting them mixed up. Who's the one that's not on the Pistons? Jarian?
Jarian is on the Pistons, I think. I might be all mixed up.
Oh my God!
Either way,
this is bad radio. I would replace
Butler.
him and put Jimmy out there, and I'm gonna steal yours because I really like yours. I'm not gonna lie. I think Karl Anthony Towns would have benefited greatly from Team USA. Maybe Mikal Bridges if they have a good finals run. It's like, you're young, you're spry, just go play some more basketball, get even better.
Yeah, the guys that I had, one was, and I'm going to preface by saying, I love Kevin Love. I'm a huge fan of his. I think that he's got a raw deal. He doesn't need to be on this team. Yeah, he doesn't need to be there. I would replace him with Zion Williamson. I think that Zion would be such a good fit there. And not only that, but maybe playing some summer ball, you could drop a few pounds and kind of get a little more athleticism. But that would be a good fit. I think the other, exactly, round amount of rebound. And then the other one that I like is Donovan Mitchell. I think should be on this team.
Oh God, that was my second one.
That's a good one.
Completely forgot. Really that was my second one.
Yeah, I mean the guy's just a great defender. He plays balls out. I mean, you gotta love it.
Yeah, you said a guy that Jeremy, you said a guy that fits Team USA. Donovan Mitchell feels like Team USA, 100%.
Also, it'd be like a good litmus test for like, do guys around the league really like him? Because it's kind of, haven't there been these weird stories about his own team and like he's beefing with his own team? Or is it, I know it wasn't just Rudy. There was really weird like Donovan Mitchell versus the Jazz type stuff. I wonder if other players in the league feel the same way, or if they're just like, hey, you're really good. Maybe other players on your team just don't respect how good you are. Like, you're one of us.
I bet you, though, Wayne, New Orleans front office is like, no, Zion, please don't play. He's just so fragile. They're just like, we need you to like just sit home and ice your legs unless you're playing basketball and don't eat for 3 months. But yeah, Zion is, I'd love to see it. It'd be so much fun. The only thing is like with the injury history, you don't usually injury history. The first thing to go is like the Olympics. Like, that's the first thing that you don't need, But I think it'd be a ton of fun. I love Zion when he's healthy. I think he's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think to touch on the Donovan Mitchell thing, I would not be surprised if his teammates actually don't like him and if he isn't particularly liked around the league. And the reason for that, and I talked about this on my show a little while back, is it's the Russell Westbrook syndrome, right? Russell Westbrook is a phenomenal talent, and he may be one of the best players that we'll ever see in our lifetimes, and he's so unappreciated. He plays 100 miles per hour as hard as he can every time he's on the floor, but he's abrasive because he expects you to play 100 miles per hour and he expects you to put in the effort that he's putting in, very similar to Kobe, right? But we're not in those 90s era anymore. Kobe was loved because of that, but he was also hated because of that. And we're in a league now where everybody's best friends and nobody wants to say anything mean to anybody else. And so Russell Westbrook is hated because of the way that he plays the game. I think Donovan Mitchell plays the game the same way as Russell Westbrook, and I think that rubs people the wrong way.
I don't hate that comparison. That's kind of more of a fans type of thing, though. We don't like to watch some of that because, I mean, I feel like Russell Westbrook just is revered by most, if like 90% of the people he plays with and encounters. There's just, there's the Kevin Durant's of the world who sometimes like, dude, you just got to stop whatever it is that you're doing. And Chris Paul, like James Harden's also like, dude, just give me the ball. What are you doing? You got to stop what it is that you're doing. But yeah, I think you guys seem to really, really like him.
Yeah, I think you guys both make good points there because Russell Westbrook shows it so much more, like on the court, like emotions and all that. And people think, oh, like that's an easy thing for us to see because we're not in the locker rooms. For him being kind of abrasive, which there is just some truth that he's had beef with some teammates, but a lot do like him. Donovan Mitchell's kind of the opposite, where he's a little like quieter on the court, but I think behind closed doors, there's probably some more animosity than we see, which is why he's not painted quite like that in the same way that Russ is in the media, even though it's probably true. They're a little more like Russ just shows it more. So that's just how it's going to be. And like Utah is just a smaller market. So you probably don't have quite the media and press and stuff to really hear the dirty the dirty secrets in that locker room and stuff. So I don't know. It's interesting.
I also wondered if that was more of a beef with the Jazz team and their team doctor because of the whole ankle thing, or as opposed to teammates.
Yeah, because I think some of his teammates even supported him and came out and supported. So that's I don't know. That's interesting.
All right. Well, we usually end the show with what's called the buzzer beater. You give you 24 seconds to kind of make a point or a hot take that you have. We're going to go high school rules tonight and just give you unlimited time. So starting with Jeremy, any hot takes you have or anything you want to lay out there?
I do. A really quick one. Let's all just remember that this is Marv Albert's last series as a commentator, as a broadcaster in his NBA career. Do not ever forget those NBC intros in the playoffs. They will live on forever as some of the greatest basketball television we've ever seen. We're not going to forget the weird little incident that Marv had. He's kind of a creep, and he's had a bad hair rag for 30 years. But God damn it, you guys are going to respect Marv Albert as a broadcaster, and you will love this last series. I don't care how many mistakes he makes on player names. You are going to enjoy it, damn it. Appreciate Marv Albert. That's it.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite, maybe even my favorite call of all time is a spectacular move by Michael Jordan on the hand switching.
Spectacular move.
Yeah. No, he's the best.
All right, JD.
Oh, thanks. I didn't know most people would agree. Yeah, I know people that do not like Marv. I love Marv.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's an overly hot take or anything. I'm just putting my heart out there to get ripped out again, but I do think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to do it. I think this is the year Giannis takes that next step, makes the finals, wins the finals MVP. I'll go, double crown for Giannis there. I just think he needs it. I mean, he needs it. I think I think he needed it more than anybody else in the playoffs. I think he's had the most pressure on him going in. For the guy that, okay, you won back-to-back MVPs, but that's back-to-back years with 2 playoff losses that are pretty bad. So I'm just going with Giannis to win the finals MVP and the Milwaukee Bucks to win it all. I'm obviously incredibly biased, but I've also, this year feels different. And who's left, and there's just a toughness to this team. Tucker makes a difference. Drew Holiday's there to take the pressure off of both Giannis and Middleton to have to hit the big shots, even though Middleton can. And it really opens up Giannis. We're tied right now in the 71-71 in the third and the Eastern Conference Finals. So I know it sounds like I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's just where I'm at. So
I think, my only hot take, I think, is can somebody please tell Stephen A. Smith that after a great game, you're not the best player in franchise history. I love Donovan Mitchell, but he's not the best player in Jazz history. Colin Sexton's great. He's not the best player in Cavs history. All right. Just because somebody has a good game or a good 2 or 3 game stretch, somebody tells Stephen A. Smith that there's a long career out there and 1 or 2 seasons even doesn't even make you the best in that team's history.
I have one more thing to add because you brought up Stephen A. Smith and it'll get me hot, but I'm tired. This is my real hot take. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I'm tired of city bashing. I'm First Take today. I saw a clip. I don't watch it, but I saw a clip. They sat there and made fun of Milwaukee. They're like, oh, I've never wanted Atlanta and LA to win more just because I don't have to trade. They sat there for a minute and a half and crapped on a city that Stephen A. Smith's probably been to a handful of times. I live in Ohio, happens to Cleveland all the time. Small markets and these small cities. Obviously, it's a bigger pull for LA and all this stuff, but all these guys on TV, stop city bashing. I don't like it.
All right.
I'm
well,
too.
On behalf of Belly Up Sports, Yeti coolers and Yeti drink cups and whatnot, thanks for tuning in and listening. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and you'll tune in again next week. We had a lot of fun, and I guess that's it.
Awesome. It was a blast. Go Bucks.